Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday service. My name is Jordan, and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope our service this morning finds you happy and healthy. But know that if you're struggling, we hope that Temple Buddhist Center can be a source of refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and your loved ones. Let's begin this morning with conscious breath work, taking a few moments to ground, to experience the body, and to breathe together. Conscious breath and breathing is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, and pause for a moment before releasing slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Breathing in, pausing just a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, releasing slowly. And as you release, checking in with the body, just being aware of what is present and alive in the body right now. A second conscious breath, breathing in, pausing just a moment, ventilating this precious human form, and then releasing slowly. As you release, see if you can release any worry or concerns from the week, all the energy of doing, going, and striving, accomplishing. Just allow yourself a few moments to cultivate the energy of being and not doing. A third conscious breath together. Breathing in, releasing slowly, and as you release, taking time to invite into your awareness the present moment, fully arriving in the here and now. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our service with a chant. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition, and it is not about being a singer, it's about having a voice. And today I'll let Victor explain our chant.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Good morning, everyone. Our chant today is Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. And in Sanskrit, this is a chant that it honors the whole concept and idea of gratitude, and it literally means, I am grateful, I am gratitude itself. And so it kind of speaks to not only what we would consider the literal form of gratitude, being thankful for the things that we have in our life, but also a whole way of being. Gratitude as a way of living and being, which oftentimes means being grateful for the things that are also unpleasant in our life, because it helps us find the depths of our ability to feel. So, Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. So let's take a conscious breath together. And let's begin. Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. 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 With a smile. Dhanavad Kritanyaham. Dhanavad Kritanyaham. Once more. Dhanavad Kritanyaham.
Here at TBC, we practice Western Buddhism, a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. This new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, inclusive, active, and focuses on core Buddhist insights, mindfulness, and meditation, and their practical application in our lives. Our goal here isn't to get everyone to agree on one lineage or philosophy. Rather, it's on cultivating a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting, meditating, or sharing from the heart, we respect that you'll participate only at a level that feels comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our own Buddha nature as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, allowing a new perspective of this and every precious moment. The second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us realize the true nature of who we are. And Sangha, spiritual community, an essential part of growth where we practice the teachings together and support each other along every step of the path. Let's take a moment to silence electronic devices and prepare for a meditative environment. Let's prepare for the prayer of refuge, and we'll recite this together 3 times. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. As we enter a time of meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then I invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If you are new to meditation, we will begin with an opening dedication, and we will sound the bell 3 times. There will be a brief guided meditation, and we will then spend approximately 12 to 15 minutes in noble silence. Let's begin by breathing together. Conscious breath. Body, speech, and mind In perfect oneness, I send my heart with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
And as the sound of the bell recedes, guiding us, showing us the way to stillness. If you need to adjust your posture or take another conscious breath, whatever is necessary to partner with the body to find a new level of gentleness and ease. And as the breath settles in now to its natural flow, its natural rhythm, no need to manipulate the breath in any way, just settling in. Checking in with the body one more time, making sure there are no points that are tense or contracted, remembering to release the forehead, unfurrow the eyebrows. The jaw is easy and gentle, shoulders drop, and the belly softens, releases. From here, we can bring our awareness now to awareness itself. Simply noticing ever so lightly any sounds in the room, voices, coughing, any sounds in the hallway, and noticing any time that there is the mind distracted by a sensation such as an itch or an ache or a tummy rumble, and noticing when the mind becomes distracted by a thought or even a string of thoughts. All these things simply rise and fall. They just come and go. Our practice is to cultivate that space within which they come and go. Our practice is to cultivate the knower, not the things that are known. And in that vast space, that pure, vast, open space of awareness, boundless, endless, we find liberation and freedom. And so, connected to the breath, the body is gentle, easy, and light. The mind is clear, yet receptive to whatever might arise, and the heart is open. We can now move a little more deeply into our meditation. I close my eyes and I see clearly. I stop trying to listen and I hear truth. I am silent, yet my heart sings. I seek no contact and find union. I am still, yet move forward. I am gentle and need no strength. I am humble and remain whole, returning again and again to the breath, returning again and again home. And so I invite you to remain in a meditative state, connected with the breath. The body is easy, gentle. And I invite you to bring your awareness now to the sense door of sound, noticing the sound of my voice or the sound of rustling in the room. And as you become aware of the sense door of sound, at the same time, can you keep a small amount of your awareness on that deep, still silence within? Can you maintain a small amount of your awareness on that silence which is not dependent on the external circumstances? Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of touch as you become aware of the feeling of your clothing upon your skin, or the feeling of the chair or the cushion beneath you. And as you become aware of material and matter and form, at the same time, can you keep a small amount of your awareness on that which is formless? In other words, can you be aware of your awareness? It's like pulling the camera back one step. And next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the sense door of sight as you slowly begin to open your eyes, not focusing hard on anything, just letting objects and colors come to you. Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to the breath as we take a conscious breath together. And as you release, be present in the here, in the now, in this time, and in this place. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Christine. Wherever maybe she ascended. Good morning, everyone. Happy Bodhi Day. Of course, technically it was December 8th, but you know, it's around there. It's never, there's a bunch of folks got together and said, okay, let's just pin it down. But it's just somewhere in this area. And so we're celebrating Bodhi Day today, and I want to talk a little bit about it. And our very own Sydney, thank you, Sydney, made us a homemade, home-decorated Bodhi cake. And so that's waiting for us downstairs. And that's also balloons, and the children are going to make a flower mandala today at the 10:30 service, and that'll be there at 11:30 when we let out. So let's talk a little bit about Bodhi Day. Bodhi Day, of course, is a holiday that falls usually right here in this first week of December, right around December 8th. Celebrates the day in which Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha, sat underneath the Bodhi tree, which, by the way, she decorated the Bodhi cake with a Bodhi tree. I have a picture of it because it's not going to last long. So he sat under the Bodhi tree and attained enlightenment. And so this one defining moment would become the central foundation upon which Buddhism has been built for almost 3,000 years now. And so it is a day on which those practitioners, followers, we tend to call ourselves practitioners, those who practice the Buddhist practice, it's the day in which we reaffirm ourselves to the path. We reaffirm ourselves to compassion, kindness, to loving kindness, to kindness for all living creatures, all living beings in all places, and also to understand the relevance of this practice as it applies to our modern world. So the enlightenment itself of the Buddha, almost 3,000 years ago, the young Indian prince named Siddhartha Gautama abandoned his ascetic lifestyle, which he had previously adopted when he abandoned his life of luxury. He was a prince, lived in a beautiful compound in a castle, and knew nothing of the suffering and the ills of the world, but was drawn out, and he escaped one night with his chariot person, and left the compound, and when he went out into the villages, experienced old age, sickness, death, suffering. And so it was in that experience that his heart flowered, and he opened and sought vigorously an end to suffering for all beings in all places. And that's when he sat under the Bodhi tree, and with one goal, the one goal of seeking and attaining enlightenment. This young prince then faced an amazing inner journey that tested him to his very core and had him face off against all the demons of Mara, and both literal and figurative demons. So following this intense meditation, he was able to see how everything and everyone was connected, and therefore he reached a state of enlightenment that would lead him to create the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path. And it is this enlightenment that we celebrate on Bodhi Day. And so on the cake, you're going to see the Bodhi tree. So the Bodhi tree is a very old sacred fig tree that belongs to the family Ficus religiosa and can be found in Bodh Gaya in India. And in religious iconography, the leaves of this tree are almost always represented as being heart-shaped. Oh, sorry. People in the back are like, oh, what's he doing? So the tree in Bodh Gaya is the one that is most often referred to when speaking about Buddha's enlightenment. So, celebrating Bodhi Day. Bodhi Day can be celebrated in a whole bunch of different ways. Often, Buddhist homes will have a ficus tree that they would decorate with beads, multicolored lights, and ornaments, much in the same way that we decorate Christmas trees. They will often also place reflective ornaments that represent the three jewels on there. So the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Some people will spend the day meditating on the life and accomplishments of the Buddha. Once he became enlightened, he spent 40 years walking the countryside, teaching in villages and towns and cities. In some homes, Buddhists will serve special cookies shaped like Bodhi tree leaves or heart-shaped leaves, things like that. They will have cakes with trees on them. And in some traditions, they will go and clean each other's homes. I'll leave my address out on the counter. So this wisdom and light that radiated under the historic Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya in India more than 3,000 years ago is of great significance to human destiny. It illuminated the way by which mankind could cross over from a world of superstition, darkness, hatred, fear, to know a world of light and love and happiness. And the heart of the teachings of the Buddha are contained in the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, namely, the noble truth, the first noble truth of life is dukkha. And there's always a little bit of debate over this Sanskrit term dukkha. People often use the term suffering. Life is suffering. But many scholars believe that it's much more closely related to unsatisfactoriness. There is an unsatisfactoriness to life, the first noble truth. The second noble truth is the cause of this unsatisfactoriness is craving. As human beings, we attach to things, places, people, identities. craving, clinging, attachment. And then the third noble truth is that there is an end or a cessation of suffering. And then the fourth noble truth is the path itself that leads to this cessation. In other words, the eightfold noble path. So it's always laid out like a visit to the doctor. The first noble truth is the symptoms. Oh man, this being human hurts. It's painful in so many ways. There's so much unsatisfactoriness. So you go to the doctor with these symptoms. The doctor then does a diagnosis, right? Oh, I see the problem. You're attaching to everything that you come into contact with or think of, or think you are. Ideas, beliefs, concepts, roles, all these things we attach them. But the problem is that these things always change. And so therefore we're always unhappy. And so there's the doctor's diagnosis. And then, of course, is the prognosis from the doctor. Yay, we have a cure for you. And then number 4 is the cure, which is to follow the noble eightfold path. And so this is kind of, he's often referred to as the great doctor or the great scientist, the Buddha himself. And so that is the heart of the teachings. And so today, celebrating Bodhi Day, I want to simply reaffirm that story of the Buddha's awakening. I want to reaffirm our practice. All forms of Buddhism, Mahayana, Vajrayana, Hinayana, they all honor and accept the 4 noble truths. They all start there. And then over the years, they have kind of splintered off and fractured into some different belief systems that are very, very subtle differences, but they all start with that. So today, what I would like to bring into the forefront is a little bit more the heart of the practice. Those are the heart of the teachings. So I want to talk a little bit about the heart of the practice itself. And so with that, of course, no better graphic to have than cake. Do you guys notice a theme running through today at all? I didn't know if that was apparent or what. So I want to talk a little bit about the Dharma cake itself. It's always good to revisit these foundational practices, coming back to the basics. I like to do this on the celebration days, just coming back to the basics. And so for our practice, the foundation of the cake, the bottom, the largest layer, is our daily sitting meditation practice, okay? And I know we struggle, right? Sometimes, we miss a day or two, and some of you are going, oh, I missed all last week, And of course, in our practice, it's not about punishment or pejorative or punitive, any kind of action like that. Oh, you didn't sit yesterday. You have to hit the floor and give me 100 prostrations. It's not like that in the Buddhist practice, because in our practice, you are always where you should be. And so in the Buddhist practice, we put these things out there so that you understand and know a much bigger picture, and you will practice when you're ready. When life begins to become difficult and unmanageable, and you start experiencing a lot more suffering, then you might kind of come back to the cake, and then life gets good, and all of a sudden, who's got time for meditation? I've got a party to go to, and that's all fine, great and dandy. And then when things get difficult again, oh, I better meditate. So there's this beautiful cycle, right? We have cycles of solitude, cycles of being social. Well, we also have cycles of practice, and bringing awareness to that practice is what is most important, bringing an awareness to it. And as my teacher would often talk about is the fact that as you practice, remember it's cumulative, so every time you sit, it is not wasted time, it is cumulative. So your practice is always growing. Every time you sit, you water those beautiful seeds of awakening. And at some point, and we can't make it happen, we don't ever know when that point is, all of a sudden, there's no need to sit and meditate, because there's never a point when you're not meditating. Everything becomes a meditation practice. driving meditation, washing the dishes meditation, serving a meal meditation. Your whole life, suddenly there comes this shift when I no longer have to practice because the practice is doing me. It's complete reversal. So that is taking the noble one seat. When you sit, it is a very noble practice. It is a noble gesture and endeavor, because we do not sit to be like the Buddha. We sit as the Buddha. So the next part of the Dharma cake is our mindfulness practice, awareness of the inner landscape while interacting with the outer landscape. I'll say that again. Awareness of our inner landscape while interacting with the outer landscape. So cultivating a single pointedness of mind, recognition of the feeling nature of egoic mind states when we fall into them. And so when we can bring awareness to an egoic mind state and we blurt something or we do something that we oftentimes, it kind of, in that moment, it's funny because in my practice now, sometimes I can become aware of an egoic mind state because I know now what many of them feel like, because meditation gives us that gift, an acute and a sharp awareness of the feeling nature of an egoic mind state. But I don't always get there. And so sometimes I'll say something and it'll sit odd with me. I'll be kind of like, oh, that felt weird. And then in contemplation in that evening, or like before I go to bed, as oftentimes when I sit and meditate, I'll revisit that. And then I move from meditation to contemplation. And I'll revisit that moment when I spoke and I said that. And then I'll kind of notice, what was I feeling? What was going on? It's not about blame. It's not about them. What were they doing? What were they saying? What were they wearing? See, yeah, I'm justified in what I say. It's never about that. That's just rationalizing, unconscious behavior. So instead, I go in and I explore that, and I revisit it. I run the video, and I just kind of notice what the feeling nature is. And so that's contemplation. But mindfulness is basically when we're out and in the world, and not necessarily on the formal sitting meditation cushion, so to speak. And Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh has this beautiful way of talking about mindfulness when he says, there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. It's kissing the earth with every step you take. Can you sense that incredible mindfulness and presence in that? Usually, I get from here to the car and I don't even remember the journey because I was so caught up in all the things that I was figuring out in my head. That intense mindful presence, an amazing thing to be able to kiss the earth with every step, the miracle of every breath. So the next part of our Dharma cake, is anybody getting hungry or is that just me? Is, of course, sila, or ethical conduct, doing the best we can to do what is most ethical in this time, place, and moment, realizing that it changes day to day, place to place, constantly, right? But trying the best we can, not beating yourself up because somebody gave you a plastic bottle of water and you opened the lid and drank from it. We don't beat her. It's not a weapon. Sila is simply a compass. It's a compass, like always pointing us in that direction, always trying to do the best we can. So, for example, replacing the light bulbs in our home with LED bulbs, holding the door for people when you're going in and out of buildings, trying not to purchase plastic, single-use plastic items, trying to have, reusable, being mindful and watching what we consume. Are we constantly plugged into the 24-hour news cycle? Are we watching shows that are incredibly violent? So being mindful and just kind of trying to do the right thing, not plugging into those things that can be, not really wholesome. They lack a wholesomeness. Next on our cake is the third jewel of the Buddhist practice, or Sangha. The Pali translation is group assembly. Thich Nhat Hanh says Sangha is a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to bring about and to maintain awareness. The essence of a Sangha is awareness. This is the core. Because as we communicate, interact, deal, work with each other, it's that awareness of the inner landscape so that I can become aware not only of what mind state I'm in, but being aware of how my actions, words, and deeds impact those around me. So that's how Sangha works. As practitioners, we have a language and a way of being that's unique to us, right? Our Sangha is also Kansas City, Missouri, the United States, the world. That's also our Sangha. But practitioners have a way of speaking because we understand the self-inquiry that we're always working on. And so we have a way of talking that tends to be unique with practitioners. So next after Sila, of course, is Sangha, the third jewel of our, I'm sorry, I already did that one. So Sangha is the third jewel, understanding, acceptance, harmony, love. Where else would we learn that except within Sangha? Near and far, known and unknown. And so finally, the top of our cake, and by the way, when I got married, I took that little cake, and I stuck it in the freezer. You're supposed to wait for a year and then eat it on your anniversary. Oh, no, don't do that. No. Did not work. So eat it right away and enjoy it. So the last part is our studies, of course, right? The videos, the books, our lending library's always got these wonderful things in there. Our studies, the videos we watch, seminars, our authentic relating class, our interplay, all the little workshops today at 11:45 is our Growing Your Practice. All these opportunities to study and kind of chew on the Dharma a little bit, all these things are considered our studies. And so all of this builds the Dharma cake. And this is the life of a practitioner. So we have the heart of the teachings. Here we have the heart of the practice itself. Every day we're working with meditation. Every day we are working with mindfulness. You could even say almost every moment, right? Working with Sila, ethical conduct, trying to do the right thing, working with Sangha, whether it's people who are actual practitioners or not. They're still our Sangha. They are still us. We are still them. Although, as a practitioner, we're trying to bring awareness of our true nature and realizing that, in this other person, even though at that moment they might be screaming and yelling at you, you can see yourself in them. In that moment is an awakening moment. Because I too have had many moments of unconsciousness. How about the first 45 years of my life? Right? And so, many people complain about politicians and things. And when I watch some of these politicians and I can see their fear, or their fear of not being recognized, yes, I did this, look what I did, I see myself. Because I remember times when I'd blurt out and say, yeah, I did that. That was my idea. And so as a practitioner, I can rest in that quiet dignity. Even though someone else has maybe taken an idea and they're putting it forth and moving forward on it, I can sit in that quiet dignity because ultimately what I want is peace, love, harmony, and the idea is coming to fruition. Isn't that all I wanted to begin with? Or was it what I wanted was recognition? If all I wanted was recognition, then the ideas don't matter, and now I have a neediness, and that neediness grows. Look at me, hey, hey, hey. That's when I get one of those really, really loud mufflers on my car and wake everybody up at 2, look at me, look at me. So on our Dharma cake, I want to cover just a couple of the little stumbling blocks in our practice, okay? That would be that little tiny thin piece of cardboard between the layers that I accidentally cut into and ate, or tried to eat, and realized, oh my God, that's cardboard. You did that too, right? Or the little plastic figures that look like candy on top. So here are some of the stumbling blocks along the way. Looking for our answers in conceptual form. One of our stumbling blocks in the practice is looking for answers in conceptual form. My teacher would always say, your body will never lie to you and your head always will. The answers are not here. We can create a roadmap. The studies, the readings, working with the teacher, the classes, those are wonderful, but all of those are a map. And a map of Detroit is not Detroit. Do not confuse the finger pointing at the moon for the moon. All of these old little phrases and sayings that you've heard. So do not look for answers in conceptual form. Growing up, we are taught in a purely conceptual manner. We're given a set of concepts. We are with which to view the world. We are given, we talk about cells and organs and atoms and molecules and galaxies and all these conceptual things. Concepts are things that we can play with mentally. We can add 2 and 2. We can find the atomic number of a certain element, and there's nothing wrong with concepts unless we are practitioners working towards seeking enlightenment, which, by the way, seeking enlightenment is also a trap. We do not seek it because you can't get it. It's a different path. It's a path of presence and awareness, and enlightenment is a perk or it's an insight. Enlightenment is not something you can make happen. It's an accident. But we can make ourselves more accident-prone by following the Dharma cake. So labels disconnect us from our present experience. No words can come close to life in front of us. Do you see that we're taught with language and concepts, but none of those can even come close? What's the word? What word actually accurately describes a sunset, a sunrise? What word or set of words accurately describe the sound you feel, what you feel at the sound of a baby's laughter? So you see, words are dualistic and limiting, and so are concepts. So we are focused on finding the perfect, we're always constantly focused on trying to find the perfect map or belief system. Oh, that's what's going to do it for me, without ever looking up at the territory itself. And so there are multiple disciplines for finding the right map, and so by all means, go ahead. But if you are cultivating awakening, then you must drop all these belief systems. Drop the map. Eckhart Tolle used to say, he was talking about his book, The Power of Now, more important than picking up this book is setting it down. And so it is important in our practice to play with and be aware that we are working with concepts and roadmaps, and those are just there to help us as a map, right? Maps are helpful. But in the end, we release all of those things. A great teacher was once asked, what do you gain by becoming enlightened? And the teacher said, absolutely nothing. And in gaining nothing, I become everything. So another little tripping point in our path is to, for example, thinking that you have reached enlightenment. The danger is that your mind will want to acquire enlightenment, and even more dangerous is when your mind thinks that it has acquired enlightenment. The old Zen master used to say, those that know don't speak, and those that do not won't shut up. So be aware of spiritual bypassing. When we start thinking that we are maybe better than somebody, or maybe better than another tradition, or something like that, notice that we have gone into an egoic mind state. That's comparing, contrasting mind state. And so there is a difference between, in the Buddhist practice, there is a difference between seeing the practice and enlightenment and awakening and taming this whole practice. Actually embodying it is the proper term. So many hours of practice, we don't know how many. Some people, it can be 100 hours, and all of a sudden they start having all these awakened experiences. But see, that's just it. Awakening is transitory. We glimpse it. We call them coincidences, synchronicities, amazing moments. Oh, wow. Robert talked about, the wow last Sunday. But we glimpse it. And another one of the traps is that when we have an awakened experience, we start chasing that instead of dancing with the one that brought you. We have an experience, and it can bring you great joy. And yes, that's wonderful. Sometimes the experiences are very painful because our practice is one of self-inquiry. So we release some energy, a trauma, a crisis, a wound. We discover that in our meditation, and we release that. What is in the way is the way. It is the pain and the suffering that wakes us up. And so as we move through and embrace all these aspects of our beingness, it is then that we find liberation. And the final one here that I'll end with is discipline. It takes a little bit of discipline to kind of, when you don't want to sit, to do so, to bring yourself to the cushion. And I always like to encourage people, when you don't want to sit is the exact time that you should sit. Because you'll work through something. You'll discover what that block is. What's the fear that says, yeah, I don't want to sit right now. So the pinnacle of this spiritual path is truly beyond, yet entirely different than any of your wildest dreams. A permanent feeling of wholeness could take hold, but without any sense of self attached to it. Yes, the temporary joys, the mocha frappuccino, the delicious cake, those are wonderful. We don't block or deny those. But the self-inquiry and the self-discipline help us move through to a permanent state of wholeness. And it is beyond any conceptualizations. And that's what makes it so serendipitous. So thank you all so much. I honor who you are and who you are becoming. Sorry, Jordan, I went a little long.
That's okay. We appreciate it. Okay. Let's just take a moment to embody the very sweet teachings today that Victor presented. Sweet. Yes. They were delicious. As we move from our lessons to a heart practice, it is okay to stretch, shift your posture, or take a breath. A heart practice is an expression of the heart that we share with the universe. During this time, many folks like to acknowledge this expression with a gesture, such as an Anjali Mudra, placing your hand on your heart, or if you're in meditation posture, flipping your hands upside down as a way to radiate love. By the power of this practice, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they know the sacred joy that arises in the space beyond suffering. May they rest in equanimity that knows no grasping or hatred. May they experience the equality of all beings. And may my practice be of benefit to all. Conscious breath. In the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, not in return for something you have received, but so that others who may seek refuge in the Sangha may find it here in this temple. Dana boxes are located in the back of the meditation hall. And thank you all for our wonderful volunteers and our TBC ambassadors, those who have committed to regular electronic donations. It's not about the amount. The monthly giving helps us set a budget here at TBC. And if you would like to become an ambassador, just point your camera at the QR code in front of you or come by our website at templebuddhistcenter.com. Thank you, Victor, for sharing your wisdom with us today. And thank you, Christine, for your beautiful music. And thank you to each and every one of you. I'm helping out. I got the top. You got the bottom? All right. Let us prepare now to close our service with the bodhicitta dedication. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together in front of our heart, let us go forth from this place, entering each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Namaste.
Jordan. If you have just a moment, I have a few announcements. There's a picture of the cake before we cut into it. Sydney made it herself, hand decorated. It's got the Bodhi tree on it. And I'm going to invite Sydney, because I think she's going to go downstairs and kind of oversee the cutting of the cake. If I were cutting it, it'd be like one line down the middle. This is mine. Just kidding. So thank you so much, Sydney, for that. And just a quick reminder, too, that we have a cake downstairs, coffee. Please go downstairs and make a new friend and introduce yourself to people. And today at 11:45 is our Growing Your Practice program. Every second and fourth Sunday, we do the Growing Your Practice, which is designed to help people solidify, concretize, and build a stronger foundation for their daily meditation practice. A lot of folks struggle, so this is something designed to help us really get that solidified. Also, there's still a few spots left to sign up for our 4-day silent New Year's retreat. What a great way to bring in the new year. We will do on New Year's Eve, we'll do some chanting and a fire puja and some things like that. And speaking of which, our fire puja for Temple Buddhist Center is December 31st. That's that Sunday, December 31st. So we'll do our fire puja that day. Tai Chi Cha every Tuesday evening evening at 6:30. Coping with Depression. Rodney and Tammy do a great job with this wonderful support group to help people who are struggling and working with depression. Also, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and our volunteer opportunities. Our wonderful store that Liz puts together. And by the way, she's been sending me little notes. She says, people are buying the Heavily Meditated t-shirt from like Australia and Bangladesh. And I'm going, no kidding. So I don't know about Kansas City, but we're huge in Taiwan. I mean, I'll leave this up here for you guys if you want to take a picture. Don't forget our lending library has lots of books on meditation and the Dharma. Please come over and let a book pick you out and take you home. So as you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and go Chiefs.